Okay, so welcome everyone to our Q3 2024 Manufacturer Advisory panel call. And we're delighted that you're here today. Unfortunately, Tim Cole is not going to be able to join us this morning. And to any of you who have been affected by the hurricane, sending our sincere hopes that everything is okay. Obviously, a lot went on there. Tim lives down in that area in Florida, and unfortunately, his power is out and just not able to be with us this morning. But he sends his best regards, and I'll do my best to say what he would say, which is that we are here with our manufacturer advisory panel, really bring you up to speed on the latest work that we are doing to advance the HPD Open Standard and the tools that are available to support your work. We have, I think, a really interesting agenda today. Corey is going to be coming on after I give the member update to share all the work that the technical committee and technical subgroups are doing. And then we're going to focus in on one aspect of that, which is a tremendous amount of work that's gone into our social equity efforts through the social equity technical subgroup. And I'll just, we'll touch on this obviously much more as we go forward, but with that topic. But the important thing here is that we're working on what are the best practices. So if you are a manufacturer or a project team, and as you think about healthier and safer materials that you want to both make and select, one of the very important aspects of that is how do those affect human and environmental health. And so when we think about the broad scope of those considerations, issues in social equity are really important to identify because they oftentimes are not as visible. So if there's a particular ingredient that maybe is problematic from the standpoint of how it affects human and environmental health, what the social equity work is trying to do is zoom in on how that actually impacts different communities, different types of people, and so on and so forth that are involved. And so I think it's an incredibly important lens that has been, an important part of our work from the beginning. And so we're really eager to advance that through the work of the social equity technical subgroup. And Emily is going to be giving a good summary of where we're at with that. So again, welcome to all of you, and let me move ahead with the member update. And so from an HPDC standpoint, we are continuing to do a decent job in adding new members to the organization. And we put the slide together at the beginning of September, actually, for some. If you don't have your microphone muted, please do so. We want you to ask questions if you have them, but sometimes there can be some background noise. So we, at this point, since we put this together at the beginning of the month, I think, have started to see the success we're looking for with the Material Health Tool Suite, really bring that next wave of capabilities, in particular to project teams. And we've added about another 10 members, which is great. And we need that. So again, invite a colleague. There's exciting new things to use. And in particular, we'd really love to encourage you to give the Material Health Tool Suite, particularly the HPD pre-check and dashboard. So the tool suite is a way of thinking about material health, that there's a set of tools that we introduce together with the new ones the pre-check and dashboards, and we've used that as a sort of overall umbrella to bring together the notion that there's a whole set of tools now available that include ecosystem partners and everything. So if you're new to material health practice, which is the case for the majority of people in our segment, we want to start to really promote the idea that there's an integrated set of capabilities that, if you use those, are going to help you advance, as rapidly as possible. But if you yourself have not yet gone and taken a look at the pre-check and dashboards, I would really encourage you to do that. From the standpoint of the manufacturers, the pre-check enables you in the HPD builder to see what the criteria in material health that are relevant to your customers and to different certifications are. And so our goal there is to get as many of the project team organizations, whether it be A&D firm or an owner firm, to outline what they're looking for, and then we can create a pre-check for that. So this, again, in the HPD builder, enables a manufacturer to actually see those criteria and then automatically check for alignment of your HPDs with those. And then there's also the capability when you publish an HPD to indicate that you'd like to export with that HPD those pre-check results. And what that will enable is for our API partners to see what those results are. And so that's an option that you have when you publish the HPD. And so if you need any more information about how to use those capabilities in the HPD builder, please get in touch with us. We're here to help you use those to the maximum benefit. And then in the HPD public repository, this is available as a resource, obviously, to both manufacturers and project teams. It's aimed a lot at the needs of project teams to select and specify their products using material health information. And so what the dashboards and the pre-check do there, with the pre-check in the repository, a project team member can use the pre-checks that are available. And right now we have 2 publicly available pre-checks there, one from Bora Architects, which is what they use internally within their own A&D firm. And then also our, what we call the HPDC dashboard. And that offers an array of filtering options. So if you yourself want to go in and take a look, hey, in my CSI classification, what's going on? How do these things stack up? These are tools that are available to you also to use. Also, you can use the pre-check in the dashboard where it's a public pre-check. So there are some in the builder that are not publicly available in the repository. So, but of the ones that are, and we hope to have more, you can actually filter the HPD repository database and find how various products, let's say in a particular CSI classification, are coming up based on a selection of criteria that you might use, or a pre-check such as the one we have available from Bora Architects. So there's a lot of information that's available here as you're thinking about your own product development and really wanting to help perhaps bolster the case for taking action with particular ingredients that you might have. And this will help you, I think, with understanding how that looks in other products that are publicly reported in the repository as well as your own. So great resource that I think can be very, very, very useful in a lot of different ways. So one other thing just about that is that this download queue, this is a new capability that we're in the process of adding right now. And this is where our API partner organizations, so these are the product libraries and workflow tools such as Building E's and Ecomedes, Mindful Materials, 3E Exchange, so on. These are API partners that we send the HPD information to. What this new feature is going to enable is a project team to actually down select a set of HPDs that have the material health criteria that they want and send those to the product library or workflow tool that they use to do other aspects of product selection. Why is this important from a manufacturer standpoint? What this enables is project teams to start their product selection with products that meet their material health requirements. So understanding how your products stack up against those in terms of using the pre-check and alignment and the filters, is going to be increasingly important as project teams put more emphasis on that at the outset, we hope, of their product selection process. Now, if you're on this call, you're among that growing group of manufacturers, over 1,000 now, that are already involved with doing this. And so we are hoping this is one of the very important tools to help emphasize manufacturers who have material health transparency to begin with, and then are offering products with better material health performance. So this should, we hope, have a direct impact on the use of your information in your HPD reports by the project teams in their selection process. I also want to touch on our upcoming Material Health Open Innovation Symposium. This is the 5th year we're holding this. This particular slide, we realized that it has an error on it. It says 12 Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 12 Eastern Daylight Time. We're still in daylight time on October 15th. It is an all event, virtual event. I think many of you have attended before. We have a great group of presentations again this year, beginning with our keynote address. That will be this year, Joel Tickner. Some of you may know Joel. He is the head of the toxic chemical work at the University of Lowell, also the founder and executive director of the group Change Chemistry. Another name, they've changed their name in this last year. It used to be the GC3 group. This group is an important collaborator with us, and especially as we start to move many more of the manufacturers and project teams just from the reporting of the information and having transparency into those next steps of assessment and optimization. Because what the work of Change Chemistry is about is safer chemicals, safer and more sustainable chemistry. And so that is a coalition, and I know some of you are actually members of that group. That is a coalition that focuses in on how do we get to sustainable, safer chemistry in the ingredients that are used in products. And so what we have been talking about for some years actually is, once we get to the point where we are now with having all this kind of information available, we can start to home in on the best opportunities, both from the standpoint of the positive impact on human and environmental health, and also sort of from a commercial standpoint, things that are widely used. What is that collection of ingredients that we can start to look for more proactively safer and sustainable chemical solutions? And so this is a great partner, because in their membership are the chemical companies that are interested in working in that area. And so we are going to be talking about how we find those opportunities, how we identify those opportunities. And also, one of the other aspects of that is, how do we start to enable manufacturers who are embarked on those sorts of practices to improve their product design? How do we create ability to report on that? Because as you all know, that can be a multi-year process, and most often is. It's rare that you have a drop-in solution that you can get to market in a very short period of time. Much more common is a lot of testing, both from the standpoint of the feasibility of that solution, as well as from the performance aspects and every other aspect before it's commercially ready. And in some cases, there's regulatory issues as well. And so, I know myself from being in the product development side that that's a multi-year effort. And we want to start to think about how can we enable project teams to understand manufacturers who are working toward those goals, and what sort of reporting of that might be possible. So that's all kind of wrapped up in our collaboration with Change Chemistry, and we're going to be hearing from Joel, sort of his ideas about where we might be able to get to with those sorts of efforts in the next period of time. So you're going to be hearing more about that as we move forward. Then we have our case studies. So I want to encourage you, there's still time. It says here September 30th. We have extended that deadline to October 7th. And so we'd love to hear from you. We've had some great stories from our manufacturers in the past about how you create and improve your products with regard to material health. I know I saw Walter Laurie here who a couple of years ago gave a great case study about the work at Mafi, and I'm not sure if others, I can't see everybody and I'm talking. So we'd really encourage you to think about what is an opportunity. The top submissions, the top 4 submissions that we receive are presented during the symposium. And then for everyone else that meets our basic criteria of relevance of what's been submitted will be included in our publication from the symposium and available on our website. So this is a great opportunity. There, you don't have to have a super research paper or anything. This is really trying to get at the essence of what the idea and what the innovation is that you've done. And there's a relatively simple, straightforward application for you to fill out online. And I think hopefully at the end of this call, we'll have Jeff Toffley, our marketing director, here to share links and so on that you can do for that. And then the last part of this is our ecosystem presentations. So every year from amongst our various ecosystem participants, we highlight 6 of them that, what are the latest and greatest that they have done in their platforms, their capabilities. And we have a great group again this year to share that. Go online, it's free. Sign up, register. We'd love to see you there at the symposium a couple of weeks from now. Also, Greenbuild. We will be there this year with our booth. It's a great opportunity to have some in-depth time. We will have at the booth, again, key people from our team to talk with you about how you're progressing your material health practice, your use of our tools, ideas for other things we could do. And we will also be having our annual member meeting this is in Philadelphia this year. We are still looking for someone to help us with hosting that event for the annual member meeting. We have a couple of people that are checking out whether they can do it, but we don't yet have a venue for that. So if you do have an office in Philadelphia, that might be a good location for us to host that event, sort of in the downtown area near the convention center. I'd love to hear from you, and we'd really appreciate your help with that. So with that, let me pause and see if there are any questions, observations that anyone wants to share about the member update. And okay, then I'm going to turn it over here to Corey White to take us through the technical program and committee update.
All right, I will take over sharing the screen. Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Corey White. I'm the technical director at HPDC. If you don't know me, I my position here is I take a lot of the technical knowledge that our technical committee and technical subgroups, those professionals have, and I translate that so our development team, our IT team, can put tools in place to do what we do here. We automate things, we try to make very complex things into simple things. That's it's really creating that easy button. So what I want to do today is talk about the work that we're doing, because we think it's really important for continuing to push material health forward here in the marketplace. So really in 2023, we realized that we had this great foundation. So version 2.3, we had all of the data pieces in place to really build what we wanted to build in the future. So we laid this foundation, and the question in 2023 was like, what do we build? So now in 2024, really the blueprints were created in 2023. So in 2024, our focus was like, let's get this built. So in 2023, we took it from like this 10,000 foot level and brought it down like really, really close to the ground. And now we're like, let's get it on the ground and start building it. And as you do that, we always have to adjust things, different priorities and things like that. But in 2024, it's been exciting because that's what the focus has been, is actually seeing all of these ideas that we had that were just kind of pie in the sky and bringing them down to actually something concrete. And everything that we do here is all within this framework. Our goal at HPDC is to be really a technology tool to make, again, these complex things easier things to do. And the core of that is having accurate, reliable, and consistent reporting methodology for transparency, and now also for optimization. So several years ago, everyone thought transparency would never be a thing because no one's going to want to report all that information. But we found a way to do that. And now transparency is starting to become this regular thing. And the next step people take is, once you know what's in your product, you want to improve your product. So what we want to be able to do is now start focusing in on optimization, that next step to make better products and better products available. So anyways, that's what version 3.0 is about, which I'll get into a little bit more. And right now we just have like this mountain of data, okay? It's a ton of data, and really what data is it can be confusing sometimes, because what you need to do is you need to tell a story with that data, and that story then becomes valuable information. So what we want to be able to do is continue to advance our screening, our reporting of best practices, and then we want to be able to assess those products, so the assessment piece of it. So we take that data and we turn it into information that's valuable for people. And the way we're doing this now is, a lot of people are familiar with the LEED pre-check, but we also have other program pre-checks we're implementing. And then what Wendy was alluding to was, we can now have project teams can have their own pre-check. Manufacturers could actually have a pre-check if they really wanted to in the repository. And you'll see in version 3.0, as I get into this, why that can be so valuable to your organization, and specifically taking a look at things like your supply chain. The core of all of this is still the HPD Open Standard. So we need to make sure that as we're growing, as we're creating these tools, we are continuing to have an accurate, reliable, and consistent data, because having good data is everything. If we don't have good data, we're not going to tell a good story. And then the last piece, which I was already alluding to, just turning it into information. And that's where a lot of you come in. We really need your feedback, because we've got the data. Like, what story do you want told? What information do you need in order to make your products better? So that's where I really want to encourage you all, start taking a look at the repository with the new dashboards there. Let us know what you want to see in those dashboards, so we can be telling that right story. We've already been doing this with our technical subgroups, technical committee, and it's been going really well. We already have a lot of feedback, but again, please check those things out because we need that feedback. So in 2024 here, the priorities were, again, version 3.0, which is taking the PDF and turning it into something modular and flexible and something that's online, not a piece of paper. And the dashboards are, the core of that, with the EU HPD being a subset of that, which I'll get into a little bit more. In addition to that, we're working on social equity, the social equity certifications, which we will be talking more about today. Emily's on the call and we'll be talking about that. And then what we wanted to do as well as we were working on these things is we realized we have this really great core package of ways to automate things. But we didn't want to stop there. If you're familiar with like Elon Musk at all, his whole mindset around making Teslas cheaper and cheaper is what's the next bottleneck? Let's eliminate that bottleneck. And then you go on to the next one and the next one. You continue to refine your process. But we wanted to do the same thing with our the HPD builder to continue to make it easier and easier and easier. And currently right now, a lot of the bottlenecks are the best practices and special conditions. So our technical subgroups took a look at those things and figured out ways that we could further enhance those to make them more and more automated. But the one that I have highlighted here, the transparency and optimization indicators. We have the optimization indicator working in the stage right now. So like this one is actually concretely, we can see it working. And I'm going to get into that here a little bit more. But like I said, we're bringing a lot of these things in for a landing, which is really exciting. So we've talked about this in the past a little bit, the transparency and optimization indicators. We have pushed this outside of version 3.0 into a version 2.3 update. And we did that for a couple of reasons. We really thought that we needed to solve this issue. So there wasn't like a great roadmap for businesses to follow to first improve transparency and look at what optimization would look like within their organization. There's a lot of people doing this work, but there was no like harmonized way of seeing this. And the reason this really got pushed into version 2.3 is lead. Currently understanding some of the lead requirements is difficult to understand. That's why we've implemented the pre-check and things like that. But just the language in the lead standard is difficult. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to show lead that, hey, we can provide a harmonized front to make it easier to understand and make it a less manual process for, looking into like lead version 5 and things like that. So really we wanted to show lead the capabilities of what we can do with the information that the entire ecosystem has. But I do want to just be extremely clear about something because there has been some confusion around this. People have been saying, well, why is HPDC, why are they creating their own scoring system? Like that's not what they do. So I just want to be clear, this is not just an HPDC initiative. This is a combined effort that goes all the way back to version 4.1 of LEAD, so several years ago, of all of the ecosystem partners, of our technical subgroups, of our technical committee, but mostly our ecosystem partners. We're all coming together, right? Organizations like ILFI, C2C, Green Seal, BIFMA, right? We're all coming together, and together we're trying to harmonize language so that the ecosystem as a whole within the building industry, we're all talking the same language. And what we're doing is we've harmonized what all of these organizations feel are the best criteria for a roadmap to what good looks like for transparency and what good looks like for optimization. So this is a combined harmonized effort, and HPDC is simply the software solution behind it. We're not like the sole driver saying this is exactly what we're doing. And that's why this has taken so long to build, because the ecosystem partners and harmonizing all this language and coming together as like a collective front to drive this forward. Obviously just takes time. So I just wanted to be crystal clear on that, that we're not doing this alone. This isn't just our thing. We're just simply, again, software solution, that easy button behind this. But the exciting part is the status. In the stage, we currently can calculate the optimization tokens for an HPD. And that's exciting because in our technical committee, what we wanted to do is we got approval to move forward with optimization. There's the most comments around that, and we think this is going to be one of the most impactful of the two indicators. And what we wanted to do is we understood that we needed to just start running HPDs through the indicator in order to get data so that we could see that we were ensuring that the promotion of certain things were happening. So for example, we want to make sure that we're promoting more disclosure. So we want to make sure that a manufacturer presenting or reporting at 100 parts per million is scoring higher than someone at 1,000 parts per million, right? So we wanted to make sure to check those things before we actually made this publicly available. So this will be available in the production builder, but it will only be available to us HPDC staff for now until we can run through the data and take a look at that data with the technical committee to make sure that it is properly scoring. But anyways, a lot of exciting things there. It's one of the things we've been working on for 2 years. So it's cool to see it coming in for a landing. Next, I want to very quickly review version 3.0. Because of time, I'm going to fly through this really quickly. So if you have any questions, get a hold of Wendy or I, and we can answer any of those questions for you. But as a reminder, right, we're going from the PDF, this document, to a modular format. We're unlocking that data, and that's what version 3.0 is all about. What we've decided to do, though, is we really want to start limiting the scope of what we're doing. So for example, like the optimization and transparency indicator that got moved out and prioritized over version 3.0. So we want to make sure we're limiting the scope of what truly is important and core to version 3.0, or something that really needs to be improved as a bottleneck, so we can continue to hit our launch date of the first half of 2025. So I'm going to briefly hit on the ones that we're going to be implementing for version 3.0. The first one is the product type. So the product type was implemented in version 2.3, and this gives an enhanced searchability of your products. So right now, well, actually before, you had to use CSI numbers, CSI classifications in order to find your HPDs. There wasn't an easy way to do that. Well, in version 2.3, we implemented the product type, which enhances that searchability and also provides things like synonyms as well for your products. So your products can get searched easier by project teams. In version 3.0, what we want to do is we want to finish that project. So in version 2.3, we implemented the most used CSI classifications. In 2024 here, or 2025 in version 3.0, we're going to implement the rest of the CSI classifications and update all product types to harmonize with Athena, who has already done this work. They gave us their spreadsheet. They're just like, yeah, we've done this. We've been using this for a long time. Just implement what we're doing. And we're like, heck yeah, like less work for us, and we're harmonizing with someone else. So all of the other CSI classifications will now be in there. The EU HPD is the next one. So this is a core feature of what we want to be able to do with this new flexible and modular format. So the EU HPD is going to be a separate view of what an HPD is. The same data is going to be available in the builder, but we're going to be able to funnel that so that the EU market sees the information that's valuable to them. Again, we're trying to tell that story to two different markets. So we're able to tell a story of your information and your data to a brand new market, the EU. So we're excited for that. This is going to be the test for this sort of format. And maybe there's other formats we can do in the future to tell a different type of story to a new market. And again, for manufacturers, we hope to be able to continue to provide more and more of your information and your products to around the world, to new markets for you. Next one is the HPD unique identifier. Long story short, this one's going to be important as we get to a more digitized HPD. We'll be able to track that HPD as we send information through API connections with data partners. The way it's going to look is you're going to have a simple identifier. It's going to be the country code here, so US. Next, it's going to be the organization code. Okay, so this is SHA. So these two will be automated. The one new thing you'll have to do is you'll have to input your SKU numbers. So multiple SKU numbers can be entered in. So if within one HPD it covers 10 SKU numbers, you can put all the SKU numbers in it. And this unique identifier, the HPD will have 10. They'll all be linked to that specific HPD. Next one is the metal alloy special condition. So as we did our bottleneck analysis, this special condition is going to be the only one that is going to be in the core version 3.0 and not the version, the next update a little bit after that. The reason for that is because originally a core feature of the special condition was our reliance on trade associations to create what we're calling metal alloy trade association HPDs. These HPDs that the trade associations we're going to be making were going to be referenced in the metal alloy special condition. And this has been much more difficult than we ever thought. So besides copper, we really haven't gotten any traction from any of them. We've gotten a lot of, yes, we'll do it, but no one's actually done it. So what we need to do is we're going to continue to push to get that done, but we need to provide another reporting mechanism for the metal alloy special condition in the near future, because it's going to start really affecting who sees your HPDs. So our thought is, at least, is there will be two reporting mechanisms. We'll have the one that we originally implemented with the trade association metal alloy HPD that you're referencing. Instead of having to manually input this information, we want it to be auto-filled for you. Okay, so a way to automate the existing special condition. But we also need a second reporting option for that as well. So we want to be able to provide drop-down menus from Pharos, drop-down menus for our additional listings, so you can input that information for your specific metal alloy that you're referencing and still use the special condition. And this is going to be really, really important that the special condition is used, because as many of you know, the metal alloys, a lot of them have a BM1 or LT1 green screen score. And if you use the traditional reporting methodology, that's going to show up in your summary of BM1, LT1 product or substances. If you use the special condition, those will not show up, because we know that once the metal alloy is kind of locked into that metal, it doesn't truly pose a threat to human health. So it's going to be really important, because that's not going to show up in your summary then if you use the special condition. And so think of, as we do things like the dashboards, and more project teams and manufacturers are creating these pre-checks. A lot of them are going to say, we don't want any BM1 or LT1 chemicals or substances in the products we use. Well, if you don't use the special condition, your HPD is going to get excluded from that list. Okay, so that's why this is super important. We need to make sure that we get this implemented as soon as possible, so that you can continue to get your HPDs present and available to these project teams and manufacturers. All right, last one here, really quickly, a really hot topic, PFAS. We want to develop a PFAS attestation. So if you're familiar with antimicrobials, we want to implement something similar to that. And the reason we want to do this is, in Q2, we had research done by our research assistant, Laura, and she did a great job analyzing all of the HPDs that we have for PFAS And just on Wednesday of this week, she shared the results to our technical committee and technical subgroups. And what we want to do now in October is we want to scope out this attestation and look for approval for the technical committee. There's several reasons we want to do this. So specifically, for project teams, they want to see, right, that there's no PFAS in products. On the other side, we know from the manufacturing perspective that, regulations are coming down the pike. So TSCA, in 2025, you're going to need to start reporting these things. So we know manufacturers are starting to look into their products, and eventually they're going to start looking into their supply chain. And there's not always like the best clear way of how to do this because this is new. So what we want to do is a few things. We want to be able to provide somewhat of a roadmap for manufacturers, best practices to follow. So if you're doing this for the first time, it's going to be intimidating. It's going to be hard to do. So we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to provide hey, if you do find PFAS, what do you do then? Right? We want to be able to provide those best practices as well as a way for you to report PFAS or not using any PFAS in your products. And the caveat to this, though, is this PFAS attestation will be going below the 100 parts per million or your disclosure threshold. Even if there's trace amounts, it needs to be reported. And that's why this attestation is going to be so important outside of the traditional reporting mechanisms, because one of our conclusions that we think from this research is that a lot of PFAS isn't in the products because it's probably below the reporting threshold in the first place. So there's probably going to be some sort of requirement with that, as well as some manufacturers, Keen Shoe is a prime example of this. They actually require third-party verification that there's no PFAS in products before they can do business with them. So we might figure out a way to create some sort of third-party verification specifically for this attestation, where you don't maybe need to do the entire HPD. And you can only do this attestation. You only need to do that attestation to probably save on some costs. So that's something we want to possibly offer. But I think a big one is any data, any information that you need to do for reporting regulations such as TSCA or any state regulations. We want to make sure we have that information within the attestation as well. So you can come to the HPD, follow the best practices, get all the information you need, and then you'll then be able to comply with other things as well. So that is it for my presentation. Really quickly, just want to thank technical committee, technical subgroup members. Great Q1, Q2, Q3. Still have so much to do, but it's exciting. A lot of these things are really shaping up, and we only have 15 minutes left. So again, questions, comments, get a hold of myself or Wendy, but I'm going to kick it over to Emily so she can finish out with social equity.
Thank you very much, Corey. And so we're going to move on now to our focus topic, as I mentioned at the outset, on social equity reporting. And so I'll turn it over here to Emily Bussum, our lead on social equity at HPDC. Emily?
Thanks, Wendy. All right, let me share my screen here. Okay, everyone can see my screen?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks everyone. So as Wendy shared, I'm going to be providing an update on the work we've been doing for over a year now on adding and researching different social equity certifications to Section 3 of an HPD. And what we realized from this research is that it's not really only certifications that are included in the list I'll be sharing. There's many different compliance types, and that was really the beginning of much more research on this topic. So just to give you some context, here is the section that we're reformatting, and why this is important. First of all, we learned in the TSG through our social equity surveys that we send to both manufacturers and building design teams that there's a lot of misinformation about the various certifications, declarations, and compliance types out on the market. And just as one example, this year alone, we found that 75% of building design teams said that they look for the JUST label when researching third-party verified certifications. And as many of you I'm sure know, the JUST label is not third-party verified, and it's not even a certification, it's a self-declaration. We also found that from last year, there were building design teams who thought that HPDs were certifications and third-party verified. And so just from this survey, we learned that there's a lot of misinformation and that there's an opportunity for us to provide more education to the community around social equity compliance types. I already touched on this a little bit, but we also have just found that this is important because there's a gap in the information that's currently provided and the context that building design teams need to make informed decisions. So sometimes they get information, but they don't know what it means. They need more context around those to better make more informed decisions. And then the more work we did on this, the more we realized that this section 3 of an HPD just needs to be updated anyways, because it didn't work, or it's not inclusive of other types of compliance that isn't necessarily a certification, but that is currently included in this section. Okay, I'm going to try to move fairly quickly because I know we're short on time, but the opportunities that we found through this is first to develop a common framework for organizing the information related to social equity. There's currently not really a common framework for social equity compliance types. And then just in general, increasing the usability of this section to expand and include a reporting methodology for a greater number of compliance types. What information do we want to provide? These are the questions that we looked into, or we thought were important to answer when reformatting this section. So first question is, what kind of compliance claim is this? Is it a certification? Is it a declaration? Is it a membership? What is the claim actually certifying or making a statement about? Is it the finished product? Is it more an upstream material? Is it a claim about the entire company's social equity practices, which could trickle down to the product level? Also, are there different achievement levels within a compliance type that make a difference when evaluating social equity performance? An example of that is a rating system like ones that have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And at each level, there are different social equity performance measures, and those make a difference when you're reporting out. Does this claim only apply to only certain facilities or product lines? And then another one is for rating systems that have optional social equity credits within them. How do we note if they actually met those social equity credits? So as you can see from this, there's a lot more nuance to this that we needed to find a way to include in this section in order to make these social equity compliance claims be meaningful to building design teams. You don't need to spend a ton of time reading all of these, but just to give you an idea, I researched every single one of these and tried to pull from those common themes in order to be able to organize the information in a way that was standardized. So the new proposed fields for section 3, the first one we're calling a compliance claim type, and that would be trying to answer that question, what kind of claim is this? And I included here definitions of a certification, a self-declaration, a pledge, and a membership. Another proposed field is the compliance scope, and that's trying to answer the question, what is this claim actually making a statement or certifying? Is it more an upstream material? Is it more the finished product? Is it the company? And then the last proposed field is rank, level, or score. And that is answering the question, what level of achievement is this certification? Has the certification or compliance claim reached? An example being cradle to cradle silver or cradle to cradle gold. Here is what the section currently looks like. And what we're proposing is adding in anything that's highlighted in yellow. So including up here that we're now going to start reporting out on social equity performance. We wanted to make it very clear and not misleading anytime that it says certification, since not all of these that will be included are actually certifications. We're including certification or compliance. And then here, we're also adding in verifier or auditor, since for many social equity compliance claims, you're not necessarily getting anything tested in a lab or certified, you're more getting audited. So we added that here. And then here are the additional fields for social equity reporting at the bottom. And these 3 fields are what I had mentioned to you all here. So compliance claim type, compliance scope, and rank, level, or score. Here are some additional examples. In this case, this is for just, and you can see here, this one is not a certification, so the status is self-declared. And then it's more reporting out on company practices. So the scope of this is company. And then for just, they have categories and indicators that you self-assess. And so for this indicator, their self-assessment was at a level 2. Here's an example of a multi-attribute compliance claim type that's actually a membership, and the scope of this is it's an upstream material. And then here is the last example, and this is BIFMA. Since BIFMA is a rating system and they have optional social equity credits within that rating system, we are reporting out that they actually met these credits for social equity here. So BIFMA level certified 8.1.1, employee health and safety management. This is a certification, so it's third-party certification. Its scope is product, and then this does have a ranking, so we are making sure to note that it's gold. Our next steps on this are, we know that there's going to be a heavy educational component to this, and so we plan to do a webinar, a written report, and then this will be the start of a best practices framework, which will also include the location indicator, which the Social Equity TSG has also already developed, and then the Design for Freedom supplier questionnaire, which we're in partnership with Grace Farms with. And all 3 of these together will be a great starting point for a best practices framework around social equity in building products. And that is the end of my presentation. I know I rushed through that a little bit because I wanted to stay on time, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Emily. I think this is a topic that we see a tremendous amount of interest on the part of both manufacturers and project teams. And these are, we believe, going to be some great steps to help bring some order to a wide range of information that's out there. And for those who really want to focus in on it, help report by manufacturers on the information that people want. So it's again, in that accurate, consistent, and reliable manner. And then also provide resources for both manufacturers and project teams have just become educated about what I think certainly all of us that have participated in this project have learned so much about the way a wide variety of groups think about this topic and are trying to pursue various aspects of it. And so it's going to be, I think, a very, very important area of our work going forward. So thank you again, Emily, for bringing everybody up to date on where we are as
You're
of now.
welcome. And it looks like there is a question in the chat here from Barbara. What compliance mechanisms are being preferred to demonstrate social equity is just the clear leader? Well, our method here at HPDC, we're not, we wanted to be sure to not show any preference for any specific compliance claim. So I don't know that we would be the people to speak to that. Wendy, I don't know if you feel differently or have other thoughts on that. But we wanted to find a way in reporting this so that building design teams would be able to compare a little more easily between the different compliance claim types, whether that's more for multi-attribute or specifically for social equity. Just does seem to be very popular within the surveys, and that's a great way to start with just having a self-assessment, but that's not a certification. And so I think it depends on what the company or the building design teams are looking for.
Yeah, I think that's very well expressed, Emily. The focus that we have is exactly on this reporting, the accuracy, reliability, and consistency of the reporting. So consistency is really the primary thing here because there are so many different types of certifications, ratings, and declarations that all are operating in this sphere. And so this is a sort of first method where we can say, okay, we can sort among all of these and say, these are these, those are those, and the other are the other. And that's what the structure to the certification section that we want to add here is all about. And so I think once that's in place, just as Corey was talking about a few minutes ago with the transparency and optimization indicators, once we have this installed, we can start to filter the HPDs that are there and report on what people are using and help people better understand what is gaining out there in terms of use. So just in the interest of time, since we are at the top of the hour, I want to quickly touch on the summary of the next meeting is going to be on December 6th. And we'd really encourage you to participate in our open call for board nominations through October 10th, and also the open call for TC. If you're interested in participating in the sort of work that we've talked about today, the technical committee or technical subgroups are a great way to do that. And then our symposium, I know that Jeff is here and might just want to say a couple words about that to bring us to a close. Jeff?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Wendy. Hello, everybody. I'm meeting a lot of you for the first time. What I would just like to ask everyone to do is to take a few actions here. Right now, this meeting is wrapping up, and everybody's, I'm sure, eager to get on to their next thing. But before you click on the red X that closes out of the meeting, I would just ask that you all go into the chat window, and I'm going to put in 3 links here in the chat. The first of which is for the board nomination, which was just mentioned. The second of which we're hoping absolutely everybody and their friends clicks on, is for the symposium itself. And I would just say, click it, open it up, register right now if you haven't already done it. It's free, and it's just our big year-end event, and we really want to make it a great success, and your participation makes all the difference there. And finally, and this is one where really we want everyone to put on their thinking caps and reach out into their networks. And actually, I don't know if that link worked correctly. I think that there may be some formatting issue there, because we use a special character in the URL. Anyhow, the last one is for the call for submissions to the Material Health All-Star Award. If anyone in your sphere of influence has a project they've been working on that is due for recognition, this is the opportunity. And these will be presented at the symposium this year. The winners will not only receive the award, but get a chance to speak to their work. HPDC promotes these case studies throughout the year. You may have seen it over the course of this last year, participants from last year's symposium. So this is a great big ask for everybody to click on that link and get in some submissions for the All-Star Award. Again, I think we were hitting a little bit of a technical issue, weird technical issue, because stars were included in the URL. So you might have the link, you might have to go to that homepage, and then from the homepage, you'll see what's new at HPDC. And from there, just click on Material Health All-Star.
I think everyone, Jeff, will have some emails also.
And certainly there will be emails as well. Yeah. But I did want to take the moment.
Thank you, Jeff, for
bet.
that. With that, we want to conclude our Manufacturer Advisory Panel quarterly meeting for Q3 2024. I want to thank everyone for being here. We will have the slides and the recording available for those who want to review it, or perhaps arrived a little bit later during the call. And we hope that Q4 is a great one for you. We hope to see you on the symposium virtually on October 15th, and at Greenbuild for those who will be there on November 12th that week, and at our annual meeting on November 12th. So thank you all again for all your great work to advance material health practice and HPDs. We'll see you soon.